We love New Orleans. We do a lot of visit to New Orleans because it's just such a fun place. Al said one time, he said, wow, well, I wish we had something like this. And I just looked at him and said, well, why couldn't we have something like this?
Welcome, everyone, to today's episode of the Pathfinder podcast. Today, we're thrilled to have a very special guest with us, Pam Bricker. Pam is a cornerstone of community development and revitalization in downtown Greeley. From her early involvement as a business owner downtown and then as the first executive director of the DDA, Pam's vision, dedication, and tireless efforts have not only enriched our local culture, but have also created a sense of belonging and community that is truly unique to Greeley. Let's start first with, you started a business here in Greeley. What year did you start it, and what was it called?
Oh gosh, I can't even remember how many years ago. It was a long time ago. And I had a partner, Christine Thomas, who she and I loved plants. We did plant care for businesses as we started. And then as we grew, we decided to open a shop. And that is still thriving, Mariposa Plants and Flowers.
And then years later, you decided to move downtown, right?
Yes.
But at that time, around what year was it that you moved there?
It was probably about maybe 15 years ago, and I loved what I saw because I loved the historic buildings. But I also saw a pretty sleepy place that didn't have a lot of businesses or a lot of action.
So when you located down there and you looked around and you saw that, what happened then?
Well, I got involved with the Downtown Development Authority that was in existence. And I just got real active with that organization and started thinking, what do we need to do here, to make more things happening? And that's when, I was asked to say, well, would you be interested in kind of running things downtown? And I said, well, I've got a business I have to run. And I went to my employees and I said, they want me to do this. And they said, do it. We can handle this. They had worked for me for a long time. So that's how I got involved and got, a place actually downtown where people could go to see the downtown area and have somebody to talk to about it. And then at that point, too, then I started going around to all the businesses and started talking to them about what do we need to do, how do we need to grow. And, that was kind of the beginning of it.
So first of all, you have your team at that point, and the business was running so well that you, the business owner, could step away.
Yes.
That's really, really good. That's what all business owners should strive for.
Yeah. And it wasn't like I just stepped away.
Right.
And, and because I stayed very busy with Mariposa for quite a while. But they really did the share of the work and let me help downtown.
And I really think that's great that you went around to all the business owners downtown and just asked them for their thoughts and ideas, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
How helpful was that?
I think very helpful, but I will have to tell you what was the biggest change is when we started being able to have common consumption in the downtown.
Also known as the Go Cup,
As a Go Cup. And we were one of the first communities to do that. And it was because there was some legalities before that. And that is what really started bringing particularly West Greeley into downtown, which was very important. And of course, the Go Cup, was in the spring and summer every Friday night. So that was a big plus.
Big game changer. And when did you and how did you guys think of the idea of Friday Fest?
I've always been a music lover, and I also had employees that were music lovers, and that's what draws people, to come downtown. It wasn't just to come downtown and drink a beer.
Right.
It was to listen to music and have fun, and that is still going on today.
You and Al, your husband Al, and your whole family are music lovers.
Yes, indeed.
And you like to travel.
We do.
Tell us about that.
Well, we love New Orleans. We do a lot of visit to New Orleans because it's just such a fun place. So that's where, we really would always bring that music back. A lot of blues, kind of music. And then Al said, we'd been there doing that for quite a while. And Al said one time, he said, wow, well, I wish we had something like this. And I just looked at him and said, well, why couldn't we have something like this? And so that's how we created the Greeley Blues Jam.
So it seems to me like throughout your life, you've kind of maybe just been that way, like planted seeds, and then from there grew things. So tell us more about how the Greeley Blues Jam sprouted from that seed, from that statement he made to you, and you said, why not? Why couldn't we?
Well, I have to say that we have a lot of friends that felt the same way. And we put together a big committee that still exists today. And many of them were the originators of it as well. Tom Welch, who was at Island Grove, was a good friend and jumped all over it as well. And so that's how the Greeley Blues Jam started. And that has brought people from all over the country into our community. In Vegas, actually, we actually have discovered a lot of musicians because there's a big blues bender down there. And that has also been something that we leaned on by going to that event as to how do they make things happen, and how do we, and then we got to meet a lot of the performers, and then we still do that. We go every year to Vegas to make that happen.
It is quite an event. It's just it's a stellar community event.
It is. Well, one of the things that while I was running the downtown area, I didn't want it just to happen at Island Grove, so that's when we started the Friday night party, which is free and open and packed. The night before, we always have a great band play that night. And so that also brings people in for more than just a day. So they'll come in early, and that really benefits our hotels and our restaurants. And so people have a great time on Friday night. And then on Saturday, all day, they come and listen to the great music at Island Grove.
And people can go from venue to venue downtown as well, like the bars and distilleries and restaurants.
Every bar and a lot of the restaurants book mostly local entertainment at that point. And when I say local, that's Colorado. Mm-hmm. It's not just Greeley. We have a lot of musicians that come in, and so every bar is full and having music on that Friday night.
And the musicians come because you guys treat them pretty special.
Yes, we actually do. We bend over backwards, and then when you do that, musicians talk to other musicians because these musicians come from all over. We actually had somebody from Canada last year that came, but they hear about it and they're like, oh yeah, this is a great event, and they share that with other musicians. So it's very easy for us to come up with a great lineup.
Mm-hmm. And this year, the date it's going to be on is?
It's it's Friday, May 31st, and June 1st is at Island Grove.
Cool. And so people can also camp there with their RVs or nearby.
Yes, we have lots of RVs, and tent camping is available too.
Cool. And you have it's run by volunteers, right? Purely volunteers.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I bet you have lots of stories you could share with us. What's one one or two that stand out that you'd like to share?
Well, we had a little trouble last year with a very unexpected rain that wasn't even in the forecast, and we were all set up. That morning everything was going great, and all of a sudden this storm came from the east unexpectedly and rained like I haven't ever seen rain before, and completely flooded the park. And because the one thing that we've always done is always had the event center in case of rain. And we just all got busy and took everything inside and saved the day, which was, a blessing because, I don't know what we would have done. We would have had to refund money. I mean, because it was a swamp out there. It wasn't like there was any way that music could have been done outside.
Wow.
So that was probably our most eventful year that we've had. One other time we had to go inside, but we knew it the night before, so we were all ready, but this last minute thing last year was kind of a craziness, but we made it. We made it happen, and people had a great time.
Have you ever heard the term grace under pressure?
Yeah.
I think you guys had grace under pressure, and that's how you get things done, especially in a crisis situation.
Indeed.
So who influenced you the most? Like, I'm thinking it's your parents. Tell us about how your parents influenced, like, your community shipness that you have. Were your parents pretty influential?
Oh, absolutely. My father was actually a politician in Nebraska, and had been the governor of Nebraska and went on to be a senator from Nebraska. And he was a great man, a fun man. He was a small business owner who worked his way up into the political world and always had fun in his heart. And he's the one who taught me how to run a business because I used to work for him when I was younger. So yeah, that was very important. I remember so much when we decided to move to Colorado because my husband had an opportunity to move here with this business. They were like, "What? You're going to Colorado?" And I said, "Dad, you take us to Colorado every summer up in the mountains." And I fell in love. What do you think? So we always, and it's not that far to go to Lincoln. I still have family there, and we visit often. But that's how we ended up in Colorado.
Cool. Because actually a friend told you about Greeley, right? I think that's what you told me.
Yeah. It was my friend Christine who lived here. And we came out to see where we were going to live, and we stopped to see her, and we found a house right away and said, "Hey, I love this place." And I still really love this place. I would never have wanted any place else to live but Greeley, Colorado.
I agree. And thank you, Christine Thomas. She's a great human being. That community mindedness that you have, it's very important. And I think a lot of people here in Greeley have that. I'm not saying that other cities and towns don't have that, but there's something special about Greeley that we tend to work together more. There's many generations here that pass on their business to the next generation and instill those values. What's your vision for Greeley? What do you hope will continue to happen or happen more of?
Well, I have mixed feelings about the fact of how Colorado is growing so much, and one of my concerns is how Greeley is growing so far, to the west, that those people do more in Loveland and other areas because in many cases they're closer to that than they are to our downtown. So that's one of my concerns. But, you can't stop, the population is going to continue to grow. But it does really still then make it important for the downtown to make sure that the people out west know what's going on downtown and what they're missing if they don't.
Right. Can we talk about a few activities people can do downtown? Like there's such a variety of things you can do.
Yeah, and we have all kinds of different events in the park down there, and there's great music playing almost all the time. Great beer.
Yeah.
Wonderful beer. And so, yeah, and again, there's that feeling of a historic, a city that kept its history. And that happened by having, because they used to have everything covered with cheap metal over these beautiful buildings. And I don't think there's very many places anymore that you see with the kind of history that we show, and it's just a wonderful atmosphere.
Right.
And with that beautiful park, and with that big civic center, we just have a lot going for us in the downtown area.
We do, and there's an ice skating rink. There's multiple restaurants, boutiques. There's a place you can throw axes.
Yep, exactly.
Distilleries. There's award-winning brewery here.
Yeah.
There's so much, and now we have Link Library and Innovation Center, which is an incredible place that we're
amazing.
Filming.
I mean, it's getting national attention. I mean, that's incredible. I love this place.
I know. I love it too. Pam, if you could go back to your 20-year-old self, what would you tell her with all the knowledge and experience you have now? What would you tell her?
Well, I think I always told her where she was going and what she wanted to do. I've always had a mind of my own, and really always looking for the next adventure. And I think that's what keeps me going still. So.
That's awesome. Well, thank you on behalf of all of Greeley for all of the things that you've done, your leadership, everything, your volunteership, everything you donate. Thank you so much. And thank you for doing the Pathfinder podcast today with me.
It was my pleasure.